The biggest story from this past weekend just might have been out of the world of sports, and it involved a Missouri lady that we're quite proud of her athletic accomplishment, and she's also making headlines off the basketball court. We're talking about Sophie Cunningham. It's the Y'all Show. Good to have you back on here. And if you're not a big fan of the WNBA, well, right now that league is making a lot of headlines, and Sophie Cunningham is part of the big reason for that, for an episode that happened over the weekend where she was absolutely just knocked upside the head by an opposing opponent, and a flagrant foul was called. That opponent goes on social media and it claims white privilege. I'm sure you've seen all about it. We're not going to really get into that so much here on this show, but I do want to tell you a little bit about Sophie Cunningham. I've been following her for a number of years, all the way back since her days playing for the Missouri Tigers in her hometown of Columbia, Missouri. And if you're not all that familiar with Columbia, let me give you a little snapshot of Sophie's hometown, because, you know, I've had a chance to go there and check it out. It's an SEC town right there in the heart of Missouri. There's a shot of the downtown area of Columbia. Good southern, but probably more Midwestern place to grow up in Sophie's case. There's a nighttime shot that I'm pulling off the web. And then, of course, it's the home of Missouri, and that's the landmark columns there on the MU campus there in Columbia. But that's the environment that Sophie grew up in. And then she went to high school there, and while playing high school, she, of course, started in basketball. But one of the things that she ended up doing in her senior year is there was an emergency situation where the high school kicker got injured. I think it tore a ACL or something like that. And Sophie had to come in during the playoffs and kick field goals for her high school. And I've got video here. I'm going to play this. There she is on the sideline, you know, distinctive blonde hair that she's got there. And here she is out on the field. And it's good. She kicked several PATs. And I believe it's Stonebridge High School or something like that, maybe Rockbridge High School in Columbia. And they beat their rival because of her. There she is. She also was homecoming queen at her high school there in Columbia, Missouri. So what a great little career she had. Then she goes on from high school in Columbia to starring for the Missouri Tigers. And here's some of the highlights of her playing for the Mizzou Tigers. I mean, she did unbelievable. She had over 40 points, a record for a Missouri basketball player one time there for MU, and was a crowd favorite, did such great work. And I remember when they beat the number one team, South Carolina, one time when I think she was playing for them. I mean, Missouri's had a pesky little basketball team since coming over from the Big 12 to the SEC, and there she was just draining points. And then she goes on to the WNBA, and I remember she was scoring more than 20 points on a regular basis for the Phoenix Mercury. She actually got in some hot water, so to speak, several years back because it was alleged that she was the girlfriend of the Phoenix Suns owner, the previous owner of the Suns, and she's denied all that, but some definite accusations against her. She's a all-American type girl. We've seen her at I guess she did a ring girl where she held up the card here recently, and at a UFC fight, I think it was. And she's Christian. She's conservative as far as we can tell. And I think that's why she's in the news. And again, going back to this weekend in the most recent incident, she got leveled upside the head. It was just about 2 games ago. She got called for a foul when a player elbowed her in the face, and they called the foul on her. It's just been ridiculous what's been happening to her. And of course, she plays for the Indiana Fever, which is the team that had a popular player named Caitlin Clark playing for them. And Caitlin Clark also is the subject of a lot of fouls and players coming after her. And so here on the Y'all Show today, I've got a declaration that I want to pass along for Sophie Cunningham, our Missouri Tiger alum, our Southern girl, sorta. Again, she's not from the Boot Hill. She's from Central Missouri, whatever they call that there, the Como area. I don't know how many grits she's enjoyed in her life, but she is conservative. And for that, we're excited about. But Sophie, I'm here to tell you today that you and your teammate, Caitlin Clark, need to do us all a big favor. If we're going to have to keep enduring this women's basketball thing, which from a professional standpoint until Caitlin came around wasn't anywhere near what it is now in terms of popularity. I looked at the numbers. Before Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA a few years ago, the crowds were at least half of the size they are now. Now, WNBA teams are regularly getting 15 to 20,000 fans at their games, even if Caitlin's not playing. Of course, when the Fever go on the road, they got a cult following. There's so many little girls and their parents that follow her. I've got a guy who has nothing to do with sports, but he likes Caitlin Clark. He likes Sophie Cunningham. And that's the kind of fans that Sophie and Caitlin have brought to this sport, to this league, the WNBA. But as I said, here on this show, we're going to do something a little different as we always do. We've got a declaration that we want to get across to Sophie and to Caitlin. And that is they need to declare their independence from the WNBA, and they need to take everybody that thinks like them and acts like them with them. You know, they both have been catching hell, especially Sophie mainly, for supporting only girls playing girls sports. No trans in women's sports. And that's probably what's fueling a lot of this hate against her. Of course, the people don't like Caitlin Clark because she is a conservative. They also are white, and I think that's got something to do with it. I don't want to make a racial issue, but it was a racial issue this past weekend when the opposing player went immediately into the locker room and declared white privilege against Sophie Cunningham. So it's become a racial issue. And, you know, what's also a racial issue is I don't think that player is going to be punished. That player is, I think Dejanay is her name. She's not going to be properly punished for what she said. Where if it were a white player, they would likely not only be suspended the rest of the year, but maybe banned from the WNBA for causing racial chaos in this league. This league is total chaos. And again, why they these two players and more need to declare their independence is this league's not protecting them. This league is letting players beat these girls up. They're getting death threats. They're getting all this just hate. And this league, which loses $50 million a year on average, has been run by, I think her name's Engelbert or Engelhart. She doesn't know what the heck she's doing. And, of course, this is a failing league. It has been a failing league. But Caitlin and Sophie are stars. They need to leave this league, and they need to get out of their contracts, and they need to cite safety as the reason. This league is not protecting them. This league is certainly biased against them. And it's time that they move on and create either their own league or they just become kind of an exhibition. They will sell out arenas on their own, and they don't have to share it with us absolute dip crap league like this so-called WNBA is. Let's not forget, the WNBA has been nothing more than an activist organization for years. Go back to COVID. Go back to COVID and the craziness they did. Go back to Black Lives Matter, when they literally had courts that had completely across the entire basketball court, Black Lives Matter. That was more important to them than the sport of basketball. And now this trans thing has come up. I'm sorry. This is reality. This is truth. And Sophie and Caitlin, you're not going to make it. You're going to keep getting beat up. You're going to keep being ostracized. Even your own coach, the coach for the Indiana Fever after the game Saturday, didn't back up Sophie Cunningham. She kind of defended the player that knocked her own player upside the head. How ridiculous is this? And Clay Travis, the podcaster, and a former y'all contributor, you could say, he's come out with a solution. That's to create an all-trans basketball team in the WNBA, the Nashville Balls, and have players like Cantor, who's already declared that he's going to try to get in there. as a trans player, go for it. Right now the WNBA is trying to have meetings to determine what a woman is. They don't even know what the first letter of their pseudonym is. What a disaster. That's why, again, Sophie, please, I am a big fan of yours. You're awesome. We just need to make a little bit more Southern out of you, but you're doing all right. And Caitlin, God bless you. I was just in Iowa City the other day for the first time, and I really didn't see a lot of Caitlin Clark love going on in your college hometown. I went in the gift shop, didn't even see a Caitlin Clark jersey for sale. I don't understand that. But I know that you're a big Hawkeye, and that's okay. That's your home state. You weren't blessed enough to come south to play college ball. Maybe you'll get a chance to create your own league and have a Southern-based league. That'd be awesome. But yes, these two, they're too good for the WNBA and any other player that thinks like them. And this league again is dominated by liberals. It's dominated by LGBTQ thought. I looked it up. Roughly 25% of the active players are LGBTQ public. They're already out publicly. And these two, Sophie and Caitlin, are not that way. And I think that causes a lot of friction. I really do. And I think it's more of that than even race causing most of this internal combustion within this league, if you want to call it a league. The NBA needs to step up. This is really looking bad on the NBA. They need to pull the plug on sponsorship. Look, if they haven't been able to make it in 30 years, this league's been out about 30 years, let them go. Let them go. And if you're a fan of Sophie and Caitlin, look, they're going to be great no matter if they're in that league or out doing their own things or becoming podcasters full time. Whatever they end up doing, they've already got the fame thing down. So kudos to them. Again, please do us all a favor and declare your independence, Sophie, and you can take Caitlin along for the ride too. Now that would be a slam dunk. All right, don't forget to, as always, on the program, like, share, subscribe. We're the show all about the South, and we're all about Southern sports as well. Thank you for tuning in to y'all show, and we'll catch you at a basketball game soon, just not one that's all woke. The woke, the WNBA evidently stands for woke, and the A stands for activist. I'm not sure what the N and the B might be standing for, but we're going to figure this thing out thanks to Sophie. You go, Sophie.